KKWA and KKWA HD1 West Lynn, Portland, KFBW HD2 Vancouver. This is 96.3 WayFM. Community Connect is a public service presentation of WayFM. Join us each week at this time as we engage in topics of conversation affecting our communities.
Welcome to Community Connect on Portland's uplifting 96.3 WayFM. I'm Ryan Trotter, and today my guest is Seth Himes. He is a filmmaker with Highwater Entertainment. Seth, first of all, thanks for coming on the air today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So let's talk about Highwater Entertainment and what it's like to be a filmmaker. And I know you guys are faith-based and how that all works. So we'll kind of encompass that here during this interview. But let's talk first about Highwater Entertainment. How did it come about? How did you start it and all that stuff? Give us the backstory.
Well, sure. I went to George Fox University, graduated class of 2000, go Bruins, met my wife. And my camp name at Tillicum when I was on staff was Highwater. And so my wife's name was Puddles on staff, and I was Highwater. We decided to go with Highwater Entertainment instead of Puddles. But that's where it started, out of George Fox, just making student films. And it kind of was a joke at first, putting on my student films, and then it just stuck. And we've had it. We've been acting as Highwater Entertainment for 25 years almost. So here we go.
So did you start off like, hey, that's what you wanted to do, or did you kind of just like get going with it and wait a second, I love this?
I've always loved filmmaking. I went to Fox to study filmmaking. But of course you can't just jump into the director's chair. So, the first 15 years is just serving other ministries and other filmmakers. It started at Luis Palau, just serving Luis and his other evangelists and going on mission trips in Estonia and China and India and making cool videos and to support them, and then working at a church in Olympia. I did that for 5 years as the media director and just served all those ministries, and then just had to get back into filmmaking and moved my family to Florida for a non-paid internship and to work on a Christian film called Like Dandelion Dust, which is the first Christian film. It's based on a Karen Kingsbury novel. You can look it up and watch it, but that was the first set we got on as a family. My daughters were pretty young, and it was an adventure. And then we were hooked on Christian filmmaking, and we became the behind the scenes guy. I could do the behind the scenes. It was a way to get on the set and learn and serve others and do what I'm good at, which is filmmaking and videography. And we did, a half dozen of those. It's a great way to meet people and network and serve the filmmaking community. So we did that. And the last 5, I don't know, time's all weird, right?
Yeah, it is.
I look at my kids to see how time changes. My oldest is turning 21 next week, and I have 4 daughters, and we just have been doing this as a family. So the last few years has been how do we provide for other filmmakers? How do we give them opportunities to work on crews? We've had all this opportunity to learn, and so that takes learning how to write the business plan and doing the fundraising and kind of adulting. We're like, I'm 45. It's time to act like an adult instead of just looking for the next gig. So that's where we're at now.
Yeah, your wife sits you down. I think we need to do something that's going to make us some money.
Right.
Yeah.
We've done this starving artist thing. It's feast or famine, and as an artist, but we wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm just thankful that we've homeschooled our daughters, which allowed us to travel. And my wife produces with me, and my daughters are at an age where Adelie's doing marketing, and Kylia, my 19-year-old, is doing marketing. My 17-year-old Zoe has 2 books published on Amazon, and we just have the bug to create Christian content. So whether it's books or movies or shows or whatever we can do. So.
One of the things that I get from time to time when people find out I work at a radio station, are you on the air? That's the first question they want to have. I want to know, Seth, what are some of the movies? Again, we're talking with Seth Himes. He is a filmmaker, Highwater Entertainment. what are some of the movies that people might recognize or they're going to recognize soon? What are some things that people that would make Highwater Entertainment kind of be more household to people that are listening right now?
Well, sure. Our last movie, the Deliverance of Amy Stronghold, they can watch on Amazon and PureFlix right now. That was the first movie we produced, wrote, and directed as a family, and we did it with a small church in Olympia with a lot of volunteers, and we were able to pay, a half dozen people and do most of the work ourselves. But that's out there right now. I could name drop The Chosen. We've worked with that crew for years. Chad, who's the producer of The Chosen, he produced Like Dandelion Dust, which was the first film, and that led to working on To Save a Life is another film we worked on, The Lost Medallion.
I've seen that one, yeah.
The Redemption of Henry Myers. We did the National Bible Bee Game Show with Kirk Cameron. I was an editor. So, yeah, I don't know if that helps. We haven't done anything that huge, but we're just thankful we get to do it as a family.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to me.
Yeah,
so.
That's big. Well, I love the Christian. We were just talking with somebody the other day that was talking about Christian films or movies now, how much better they are.
Right.
Then maybe they're kind of catching up, come a long way.
Oh, sure. I kind of compare it to Christian music. Back when I was doing K-Fox Radio at George Fox as a DJ, we had like a stack of CDs of Jars of Clay and Switchfoot and Michael. That's all we had.
So did I when I was doing college radio.
And now I can't even keep track of how many Christian music artists and the quality. And filmmaking, I feel, is like about 15, maybe 10 years behind Christian music, where we're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to keep track with all the Christian films. Right now we get one or two a year, but now it's becoming like every other month a new Christian film's coming out. And so I don't have the exact stats, but you're going to see an increase in that, especially because the cost of making a film have come way down. Anyone can get the gear, and now the challenge is marketing and distribution. Like, the internet changed everything, but still, there's so much noise out there. You know this in radio. Your job is to make noise, right? That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you name dropped, as you put it, The Chosen.
Right.
That's revolutionizing things as well. Oh, it's a movie about or a show in this case about Jesus that actually has good acting, and I don't go roll my eyes because of the dialogue type of thing.
Right.
And I feel like that's a big thing with movies, just in general anyway, just what you might consider a low-budget movie back in the day, because that term, as you've just said, is you can get low budget and be really good at it, but just that low-budget idea, a lot of times it's the writing. So, because they might be a good actor or actress, but it's tough when the writing's not very good. How do you get good writing when it comes, let's talking specifically with the Christian, the faith-based films?
Well, sure. First, you study the craft and you practice. I had to learn how to write. I bought a book called Save the Cat, which is a screenplay writing book, and I recommend anyone who's interested in writing to read that book. It's a great book that just breaks down how to write, and then it's hiring professionals that do it for a living. People are gifted to write. I usually take the first pass of my screenplay just because I have a story deep inside of me that I want to tell. But then I partner with other professional writers to make it as good as possible, because the cheapest way to get it refined is when it's still on paper. And so it's working with those writers. And so I hope that answers your question. But
yeah, it does. It does, because I think that's I think too much writing, and I think of this as radio with the commercials and things like that, is just for all your blank needs, and it's just a bunch of what we call ad speak.
Right.
It just, you've heard it our whole lives. It just kind of goes over your head. You got to stand out a little bit, and the good writers know how to do that.
Sure. And every film has a message. There's messaging in every film. And there's a place in the story where your hero learns his lesson. And if he's learning his lesson the whole movie, you feel like you're being preached at. But if you put it at the end of Act 2, where he learns his lesson, just like any other three-act screenplay, it makes sense, and we just make sure the the lesson our hero learns is biblical,
Sure.
and it's actually true.
Sure.
Of how we walk out our faith, and so that's only the difference between Christian filmmaking and secular filmmaking is what lesson is the hero learning? Is it biblical? So that's what we're setting out to do.
You're listening to Community Connect on Portland's uplifting 96.3 WayFM. Seth Himes with Highwater Entertainment, a filmmaker, is in studio. You were talking about YouTube, and I was watching how to help me with the title.
So you want to marry my daughter?
Tell me about that.
Yes, I have 4 beautiful daughters, and then after we wrapped our last film, Amy Stronghold, I just wanted to write something. It was just, my daughters are all launching. I have a 21, a 19, a 17, and a 9-year-old daughter. I have all daughters, and Allie was getting ready to leave for YWAM, a YWAM mission trip. The first time we were sending a daughter out, and as she's away, I'm thinking she's gonna marry some guy in Romania and never come back.
I married
something.
a Romanian, by the way.
And so it actually started when my father-in-law suddenly passed away of a stroke, and so I wanted to honor the conversations we had as his son-in-law. And so we say it's in memory of Lonnie, my father-in-law. It's a love letter to my daughters, and it's a warning to future sons-in-law. And so it's a fun comedy movie, but it started with just an outlet for the transition our family was going through. And we're learning that so many Christian families want this tool of, what do I do when my kids start dating, and what does God say about the Bible? What does God say about marriage and courting and dating? And we address those issues in a fun, entertaining way. So
it's funny. It's entertain. It's amazing how comedy, being funny, can break barriers down.
Sure.
And kind of, some of it might be over the top. Comedians and things like that be a little over the top, but that's what makes it fun.
Right. Like, we want to make a movie that the whole family can watch on a Friday night, that they're not that, and then they can talk about, it doesn't have to be really deeply theological, but our rule as a family in dating right now is just don't be sneaky about it. Just include the parents. Let's do it as a family. So I could tell you stories I probably shouldn't on the air, but we're already dealing with boys coming in and out, and we just do it as a family. And when we have that type of transparency, it's working so far. So
and it keeps you as a father. You're not suspicious
of
what's going on. Who are you? It's not. It keeps them out of the shadows, so to speak.
Right.
Nothing sneaky. I like that.
Yeah. So sorry. When I marry my daughter is just a father bonding with his 3 future sons-in-law, and then teaming up with those sons-in-law to get rid of the 4th guy that needs to go, and we have fun with that in a Home Alone type way.
I like the premise of that. That's good. How can people get a hold of that film?
So we shot a scene out of that. It's called Our First Look. If you go to soyouwantamarrymydaughter.com, if you type in most of that, you'll get there. Yeah. And you can watch a 8-minute scene right there with our actors, Robert Amaya, and you might recognize him from Mom's Night Out or Courageous, or he was in Family Camp, which was in theaters last summer, and Raphael.
I thought I recognized him when I was watching that.
He works he's known as he's the most busy Christian actor. He's been in over 20 films in the last 10 years.
Wow.
All faith-based, because that's just what he believes in, And Raphael was in Life Mark, which was in theaters last year.
Yeah.
And so God just blesses us with these actors. And people can watch The First Look, and they can pre-purchase their copy. We really would just love them to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, and just be a part, get involved. We have a prayer team they could join if that's their gifting. We're fundraising right now, and we believe we're going to be fully funded within the next few months or earlier. Hopefully, we're ready to film. It's the best part of filmmaking, is actually filming.
You've got a project and you're working on it.
Right.
Yeah. Talking with Seth Himes. He's a filmmaker, Highwater Entertainment. What do you want people to take out of what you do? Because there's a higher purpose. Yeah, you want to entertain people and that sort of thing. And we talked about comedy and how that cuts through barriers and things. But what do you expect as Highwater Entertainment? What's your mission statement, so to speak?
Right. Our mission statement is to empower artists and impact audiences by partnering with Jesus. And so empowering artists is raising the money so we can pay them well. Like there's a big strike going on, right? People aren't getting paid well. We've done movies with volunteers, and that's a great way to get going, but we're at a point where we're ready to pay people so they can provide for their family, so they can use their craft to provide for their family. And so we're doing the work to fundraise right now so we can empower artists. The best thing about filmmaking is collaboration. You can't do it by yourself. We're collaborating with with Robert Amaya, and his whole family, because they're great in front of the camera. I'm terrible in front of. I can barely get through this interview, right? I'd rather have an actor be doing this stuff. But our call is to empower the artist, and that's collaborating on the creative side, but also raising the money to pay them well so they can do their craft. So therefore, so we can impact an audience. So our goal is to do theatrical release films. And so we have a plan to release this film in the theaters. It's going to be a couple of years. I mean, once we get funded, it'll take about a little less than a year to make it. And then it'll take another, 9 months to roll out. So that's why it's fun to get on board now and follow us on social media and watch what God does, how he makes Christian films, because it's going to be, and also education. Like we do education. We write books. We want to teach other people how to do films. We're plugging back into George Fox of how to support those students, and we're trailblazers. We're trying to establish a Christian movie company in the Northwest, and that's hard to do, but we get to do it as a family, and I'm thankful for that.
Tell me again how somebody can find out more about Highwater Entertainment.
The best place is soyouwantamarrymydaughter.com, and it has all our links, and it has all our social media, and you'll even see a link to Highwater Entertainment, and you can go even deeper of past things we've done, from Amy Stronghold to books to teachings, and so there you go.
Love it. Seth Himes, thank you for coming on the air today. This is fascinating to talk about that kind of behind the scenes working and what the goal is, too. I love to hear that. What's the end goal out of all of this?
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Community Connect with WayFM. Join us in more conversations each week at this time on WayFM.